Hey, Corey here. I want to talk about gratitude, my attitude, and what gets in my head versus other people's hard. So, what this comes from is a couple weeks ago, and maybe you can relate to this. Sometimes I just get a pissy attitude. And sometimes I don't even know why. Sometimes I'm unhappy. I won't necessarily say depressed, maybe, but just unhappy. Things don't feel right. And when that happens to me, I'll do a boot test. And if you've watched earlier episodes, you know what a boot test means to me. But I'll do a boot test. And a couple weeks ago, what was happening is I couldn't find any reason for not being happy. I couldn't find any reason that I was down in the dumps, and I had a bad attitude. I had a pissy attitude, and I literally sat down and thought through every part of my work, my personal life, my recovery life, everything, and I could not find any reason that I was not happier than I was during that time 2 weeks ago. In fact, I found that I should really be happy and grateful more so than I even am from what I reflected on and from my boot test. And so that just kind of pissed me off even more because I couldn't put a finger on what was wrong. Maybe you can relate to that. I don't want to dwell on that. I don't really want to say any more about that. I think that just happens sometimes, and it's probably something I need to follow up on more, learn a little bit more about, why does that happen? But here's what I really want to talk about. So when I was having, this kind of an attitude problem is what I'll call it. When I go through something like that, I try not to let that impact the life around me. I try not to let that impact my work or my recovery or my family or anything. It's kind of like, well, this is my issue, and that's maybe not the best way to handle that or think about that, but it's what I do, so that's just how I am. It's what I do. It's the way I am, and I'm not saying that's right, but it is what it is, and it's probably an opportunity for improvement for me personally, for sure. But certainly, I'm not at 100% of what I should be in any area of my life if I'm going through something like that and just trying to power through it and, kind of just put it to the side. So later on during that week when I was having these issues and this attitude problem, I have what I believe, God putting things in my life to help me. And oftentimes I don't even realize it until after the fact. And, this was 2 weeks ago, and I'm sharing this today, 2 weeks later, because in the last few days, it's kind of just hit me that, well, okay, I may not understand exactly what was going on, exactly why I had these issues a couple weeks ago, but certainly I can look back now and I can see that there were 3 intentional things that came my way later on that week, 2 weeks ago, that impacted me, really got me out of my head, got me out of my negative thinking, and got me out of my bad attitude, and kind of set me right again. And really everything's been great since. So what I want to share is those 3 things, and I'm not going to share all the detail because some of it's confidential, but I'm going to share enough to get a point across. For me, it was a really just kind of a wake up of, okay, identify what I'm feeling and be honest about it and understand that there's times I'm not going to feel right and I may not be able to explain why or figure out why. Again, maybe that's an opportunity to check into something moving forward. But for today, get out of my head. And maybe it's just a bad day. Maybe it's a bad 2 days. But I've been going at this long enough that I know bad days pass. I know that if I can just get through the day, it's going to be better tomorrow, or if not tomorrow, the next day. I know this stuff, so it's kind of like, quit being a puss, quit being a baby. And I'm not saying that people that go through this are being that way. This is my experience. This is me talking about me. So if you get that, great. If you don't get that, that's fine too. Don't take it personally either, because I'm talking about me, but maybe you can relate. But for me, it's like, all right, get out of my head. Look at these intentional things that came my way. These examples of people going through much harder things than me and able to find happiness and joy and a way forward. What do I have to complain about? That's where I'm coming from. That's the point of this message, if anything. So the first thing that came my way was an individual that I know coming to me with something that impacted him in the previous week or so. And it was something he had read or saw or watched, whatever. But it was about a person who was dealing with a life-ending type of disease. There was nothing left that could be done for this person. They had exhausted everything that they could do for this person. But yet this person was so positive and so happy and so filled with joy and living their life and helping others and impacting those around them and doing all this stuff, to the point, even more so than if like an average person doesn't have any issues they're dealing with, even above and beyond what that would be, yet doing all this, dealing with knowing they're going to die very soon. And that caught the attention. I think it was an article or a news, and I'm not going to tell you I know all the details, because I don't. I don't have to know all the details of everything. But it impacted this person enough that they wrote down a statement that this other person made. This person was asked, how can you be so happy and joyful? How can you be so positive? How can you be helping others? How can you be doing all this when you're facing death? And we're all going to die. But when you're literally facing death and you know it's there, I can't imagine what that would be like. But that's what this person had. And part of what this person said that a guy I know wrote down, because it hit him hard enough, was, I can't wait for life not to be hard to be happy. And this guy shared this with me. I took a picture of what he wrote down. I still have it on my phone, because for me it's like, holy shit. There's a fact, there's something true. And I know this, but I needed to be reminded of that. I can't wait for things not to be hard to be happy, because things are going to be hard. Life is going to be hard. That was big for me. That was one thing that kind of got me out of my head a little bit. Like, what am I whining about here? You know what I mean? The next thing that came my way is I had an appointment somewhere, and I was at this appointment, and I was talking with a person, and this person was telling me how their loved one, after 40 years with the company, and by the time I post this, I mean, we're pretty much on like Christmas. Christmas is like a week away. But anyway, this loved one very close to them, 40 years with the company that they worked with, just got released from employment to no fault of their own. A division was shut down for whatever reason, a business decision, a company decision, and this person was released from employment after 40 years. Not quite to the point of being ready to retire financially, but still 40 years with the company. I can somewhat relate to that. I'm going to come up on 33 years here with the same location. I can relate to that, and I can imagine, I don't know what that's like, but I can imagine, wow, what if I was blindsided? This person probably was thinking, hey, I'm pretty close to retirement. I'm pretty close, probably kind of had a plan of the next few years, and now is blindsided. And I think that happens a lot, that in and of itself is not what I want to share. What I want to share is what this person told me about how this person very close to them had such a positive attitude. They had some things planned up through the next month and into the start of the next year. They had things they were looking forward to that they were not going to cancel just because they lost their job. And they were taking some time to reflect on, where are they at, doing their own boot test. Where are they at financially? Where are they at in their life? Where are they at now with what they want to do with however much time they need to work or create an income? And they were moving forward, and this person is close enough to the person that lost their income that this affects this person, and this person had nothing negative to say. What caught me off guard is this person did not bitch about their company or their loved one's company. There was not one single negative thing that this person said while they were sharing this with me. It was simply that they were going through something unexpected, they were going through it together, and they were moving forward. So that's the second thing I wanted to share that impacted me, that got me out of my head. It's like, okay, well, here's another example of somebody getting hit with something they weren't expecting, and it's hard and it's difficult. I don't know what I'd be like if I was hit with that. The third thing that I'm going to say I was blessed with, and I believe that God works through people to help people. I believe that's how it works. So the third thing I wanted to share was an opportunity I had to meet with a young man that I've gotten to know over the years. And this is a person that, to me, represents going through very hard things in life, being beat down to the point of, I can't even imagine what it's like to go through some of the things that this person has gone through. But this person, I'm talking everything from, homelessness to everything that got this person to that point, and then working through that and coming back from that, and now being in a safe environment, and now being in a place that they're living, going from no income to having some income, going from kind of being alone in this world and having some important people now in their life, some positive people in their life. And I could go on and on and on, and I'm not going to go into details, and I'm not going to share who this person is, but this isn't somebody I see on a podcast, or I hear on the I hear on something, or read some book, or somebody with some kind of heroic background. This is an average, everyday person that I've come to know that has gone through significantly hard things in their life. Okay? We've all gone through hard things in our life, and we can't compare ourselves to anyone else, because whatever was the hardest thing we've gone through is the hardest thing we've gone through, and that's like the worst we've experienced. I'm not going to compare myself to anybody else. Nobody should compare themselves to me. I don't think we should compare ourselves to anybody else. I think we can use other people's experience for strength and hope, and we can use their examples. We can take things that maybe will work from us. We can relate to certain things. I think there's so much benefit to people's stories. It's just unbelievable to me. But what I wanted to share and focus on what this third example is I'm sitting down with this person, and to be honest, I'm thinking that I'm going to share something with this person to help this person. Okay? That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the whole day up to this. I'm thinking that the whole time I'm driving to this. And I don't think we were 10 minutes into the conversation when it struck me that I have nothing to offer this person. I am not here to give this person anything. I am here to shut my mouth and listen to what this person has to say, because God put this person in my life and put me in that situation on that night to be able to meet with this person face to face and basically take everything that this person was telling me and learn from it and humble myself and get out of my head and also find a couple things that I can implement into my life moving forward. And what this person shared with me, they shared with me their story, and they shared with me how things were and how they got to where they got to, and then how they got through that and how they built back. And I know a lot of people go through a lot of very hard things, but what struck me about this guy is here's a person face to face that I know that's been through a lot of this stuff, and his journey's not over. This person now is facing a very rare disease, facing something that will impact him the rest of his life, and that he's going to have to work through, and there's going to have to be things he does every day, still knowing that there's not an end to that. There's not a finish line to that. It's not like, you know, I shared a few things on social media about my recent foot surgery, okay? That's no big deal. I think there's a few things to learn about it. Part of it was some funny videos and stuff, but for this person, I'm not talking about something that he knows in 8 or 9 weeks from now, this is all behind him and he's moving on. This is a very serious thing. The whole time I met with this person is never complaining about anything he's sharing with me. He's sharing it because I want to know, and I'm asking questions because I want to learn. So he's telling me how things were and how things are and what he went through and how things will likely be and what he's faced with. But he never once in this entire conversation complained about anything. And here I am earlier this week having a shitty attitude, really for no good reason. I admire people that can go through the hardest thing that they're going through, and I don't even care what that hard thing is for them, but if it's the hardest thing they've gone through or that they're going through, and they're working through it, and they're not giving up, and they're going to keep working forward, they're going to keep moving forward, they're going to figure out what the next step is, they're going to take whatever this insurmountable, overwhelming thing is that they're faced with, and they're going to break it down into, what do I need to do next? And they do use the tools available to them. They do get help. They do seek help. They do what they need to do. They're not, going at this 100% alone. They're aware of what they're going through. They've accepted what they're going through. They've accepted it's going to be hard, but they are not going to stop. I'm going to quote something this person said to me. This person said to me, I've overcome homelessness. I've overcome addiction. I've overcome so many very hard things. And I say I overcome these things, but some of them I have to keep working at the rest of my life. What I'm faced with now, with this disease, I may not overcome. I may not live, but I am not ever going to quit. Think about that. I'm thinking about that. I will never quit. God will determine that, but I will never quit. These things were put in my life 2 weeks ago for what I believe is God working through people, not to show me why I had a day or two that I had a pissy attitude and couldn't figure out what was wrong with me and couldn't figure out why I'm not happy. It was not to give me the answer to that. It was to show me examples of people around me and how they're dealing with what are very hard things. So I wanted to share that today. That kind of stuff gets to me. That kind of stuff is important. And if you can get anything out of it, that's great. But, that's all I got for right now. I wanted to talk about it. If you stuck with through the whole thing, thank you. Take care.